Hi, it's Editing Hannah. Welcome to this video. This is an accidental part 2 because of laptop issues, etc. If you're after my top 10 books, that's in part 1. I've linked it down in the description. If you've already seen that and you're here for part 2, well then, strap in, folks. Here we go.
Right, so here we go for the quick category rounds, and I am going to make them quick. I'm not really going to talk in much detail about any of these books because this video cannot be over an hour long. Do you know what I mean? No one wants that. So first up, I've gone for a category of like books that took me by surprise. I have been using Scribd this year, and what's great about that is I feel like I can take a few more chances on the books that I'm reading because it's not like I'm going out and like buying a copy of a book that I'm not sure about. So these are all books that like I didn't know that I was going to love when I picked them up. And the first one is one that I listened to on Scribd as an audiobook, and that is Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead by Emily Austen. This was hilarious and sad and difficult, and I thought it was so it really took me by surprise how much I liked this book. It is about ostensibly it is about a woman who is going through a difficult time. She's gay, and that's not why she's going through a difficult time. Those are two separate statements. But she accidentally gets a job at a Catholic church, like doing some kind of secretarial duties, and she doesn't disclose obviously that she's gay, and then things roll on from there, but it's brilliant. I really liked it. Honorary mentions in this category for Everyone Knows Your Mother is a Witch by Rivka Galchen, or Galchen, I'm not actually sure how to pronounce her name. This is a historical book. There's been a lot of historical books in my top books. It's not a genre that I necessarily thought I really liked, but evidently it is a genre that I really like and I should read more of it. This is about a woman in sort of, I'm going to embarrass myself with the centuries here, ye olde times, in Germany, who is accused of being a witch. And it is satirical and funny, and it's a very slow burn, but it was one of those ones I read it as an ebook on Scribd, and I just kind of thought, I saw the title and thought, I'll give that a go, and was then really surprised. I knew nothing about it going in, and I thought it was great. And then final one, I do have a physical copy of this. This is a book that I was sent through my Beautiful Book subscription, and it's The Whale at the End of the World by John Ironmonger. When I did this, I've done this subscription a couple of times, and when I did it this time, I asked them to send me books that were outside of my comfort zone for reading. I said I wanted to read a bit more outside my comfort zone, and this is basically I thought it was going to be twee as fuck, and it is a little bit twee. It's about this tiny little rural community down on the south coast, and a whale washes up on their shore. But that's not really what it's about. I mean, it's sort of what it's about. But in and amongst this, there is a pandemic. It was written pre-COVID, but there is a pandemic that basically drives people out of the cities. But there's also the main character of this is a banker. And it's got real kind of like Big Short vibes in it. I was so surprised, and it was a real romp, and yeah, I really recommend it. It was good fun. Next one is just, I don't have any honorary mentions in this. I thought I would share my favourite series that I've read this year. I didn't read the entire series this year, but I did finish the series this year, and that is the 6 Stories series by Matt Veselovsky. I've spoken about Matt before on this channel. He's a local writer who's also I know him in real life, so you know, I feel like I have to say that I'm not entirely unbiased, but I think these are excellent. They are sort of crime, thrillery horror books told through a true crime podcast, and they're great. I loved all of them. Thoroughly recommend. Next is my favourite short story collection of the year. I didn't read that many short story collections this year, but I did love The Secret Lives of Church Ladies by Disha Philyaw in particular, and kind of well done for me filming this today and picking this book, because the first story in this collection is about New Year's Eve, and it was my favourite one in the collection. So yeah, pick it up today. If you have this on your bookshelf, pick it up today. It was great. I really, really liked it. Sorry. Favourite non-fiction of the year, excluding memoirs. I've read a lot of memoirs and I'll talk about them separately in a second. My favourite book, and again, this one was a slight surprise, but it was this, Spring Cannot Be Cancelled by Martin Gayford and David Hockney. I found this, I thought it was going to go a bit over my head, because while I love David Hockney, I'm not like super like knowledgeable or into art, and I thought it was going to be like, whoo. But really, this book is all about how much David Hockney loves the countryside and the close detail and attention that he pays to nature, and I thought it was beautiful and lovely. And my honorary mention in this category is also about paying close attention to nature, so I'm sensing a theme here. Again, this is why doing these wrap-ups is really interesting, because the other book that I'm going to mention here is The Stubborn Light of Things by Melissa Harrison, which I've already spoken about, I think in the Ali Smith vlog that I did. And that is a nature writing, and I loved it. So hit me up with your nature writing recommendations, because apparently that is a thing that 2023 Hannah is going to want to read. So that is my general nonfiction. And then last but not least, memoir. I've split my memoir into two categories, kind of more literary memoirs and then celebrity memoirs, because I feel like the two are not easily compared. And my favourite literary memoir that I read this year was Priest Daddy, by Patricia Lockwood, who I, have already mentioned, and I said I discovered her this year. I liked this even more than I liked No One Is Going to Talk About This. This is about a period in Patricia's life where she moves back home basically with her husband to her family home. Her dad is a Catholic priest, and it is about that period of time. And I have never laughed, like snorted so much reading a book before. But it's also incredibly touching and moving, and Patricia she's got such a brain and such a writing gift, and this was excellent. 2 honorary mentions here for In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado, which is kind of triggering and horrifying, but beautifully done. And also these, which I think sort of count as literary memoir. These are the love letters between Vita Sackville-West and Virginia Woolf, and I think this collection is edited so well. I loved it. So they are the literary memoirs, and then all of the rest of these, all 3 of these next ones I'm going to talk about, I listened to. I prefer to listen to memoirs, especially if they're memoirs of like famous people, because often they read them themselves, and I think that's fun. My favourite, and I've seen it on a lot of people's lists this year, is I'm Glad My Mum Died by Jeanette McCurdy. And I almost put this in the books that took me by surprise, because I didn't know who Jeanette McCurdy was. If you don't know who Jeanette McCurdy is, she's of the Ariana Grande era of Disney Channel, which like I am too old to be knowing who all those people are. I barely know who Ariana Grande is. But yeah, so it's about her and her relationship with her mother, who is a real kind of stage mum, very pushy, and it's about Jeanette discovering that actually her mum's treatment of her was abusive, like really abusive. And I thought it was brilliantly done. I think Jeanette did it really, really, really well, and it's stayed with me as one I've kept thinking about. other ones I would mention in here, I really enjoyed Grace Dent's memoir, Hungry. I love Grace Dent. I'm a MasterChef fan. So that was just great, and her writing is wonderful. I really like her. And also Just Ignore Him by Alan Davies, which was just a heartbreaking book. I had no idea. It's about his relationship with his father. His father was incredibly abusive. To Alan, specifically, of his siblings. And yeah, that was a difficult listen, but it was definitely like, I thought it was really well done, and I really respected him for doing it. Final category. I thought I'd mention some true crime. I don't read a lot of true crime. I went through last year, I listened to a lot of true crime podcasts, as lots of white women in their 30s did. And I think I overdid it on true crime, so I've not done much this year. But I wanted to mention a book that I read that I loved, which I don't know where it's gone. But it is Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Berendt. I don't know how you pronounce that. Sorry. But this, again, it was one that took me a bit by surprise, but it's about a murder that happens in Georgia? It's Tallahassee in Georgia? The southern states of America. And this writer from New York doesn't specifically go there to solve it or to write a true crime book. He kind of just goes there, and it was just brilliantly observed, all the characters in it, all the people in it that he meets. It's so interesting, and his writing's really engaging, and I was totally into it. I was really into it, so thoroughly recommend that. And one honorary mention in this category for My Friend Anna by Rachel Deloche Williams, which is about Anna Delvey. Obviously, there was the adaptation this year. I don't think it was adapted from her book, actually. Maybe it was. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Inventing Anna, the one with Julia Garner in, who is... Love Julia Garner. Anyway, that was also very good, and was about how she was defrauded by the woman she thought was her friend. So that's it. I'm sorry I've been a bit quick. I'm going out soon, and I wanted to get this filmed, and I feel like I've been talking really quickly, so sorry if that is the case. So that's a little summary of my reading this year. It's it's been a good solid year. I was surprised that there weren't more books that like really stood out to me when I was looking at. I had a lot of like, I don't do star ratings, but a lot of books that I guess you would call like 4 stars, like books I really enjoyed. But those like top tier, like gut punch, like I just feel this book in my bones, weren't so many of. But I think what I am doing by doing this channel and kind of, I guess, like thinking more consciously about what I read and how I feel about the things that I read is helping me choose better for myself the things that I'm really going to enjoy. So I'm looking forward to doing that next year. Happy New Year. The next video I think you will see from me is going to be a wrap up of my December reading. That should be up in the next couple of days, and then I am going to be filming a video where I talk a little bit about what I want from my reading in 2023 and what I'm going to be doing on this channel and on my Instagram too, and a couple of bits and bobs that I've got myself involved in. And thank you for being here. I know I only have a dinky little channel and there's not many of you, but thanks for being here, and have a happy new year if I manage to edit this before the gong, and if I don't, happy new year, as in now it is the 1st of January. Christ on a bike. I'm leaving now. Bye.